up here in Harrisonburg, the Dukes are getting ready for the 2024 football season. The schedule just dropped. It's official. We know who, when, where, why, and how each team is coming to Harrisonburg, when the Dukes are leaving Harrisonburg. The schedule's here. Was it like Christmas for you, or are you not that big into schedule drops?
I like schedule drops. I like knowing what's happening, who they're playing, how they're getting there. As you said, Southern Miss probably by plane.
Probably most of their away games by plane.
Yeah, well, that one Southern Miss is home, so Southern Miss visiting them by plane.
Oh, okay. I hate you. Set me up to walk right into that failure.
No, but I guess what are your initial takeaways? Should we go through the 12 game schedule?
Well, let's first pinpoint our favorite games. So we'll break down our favorite games on the schedule. Then we'll go into letdown spots, hype scale, and then we'll go game by game record prediction.
Oh my God. All right.
Favorite games.
Favorite games. I think the obvious circle it. We've known about it already is the at North Carolina.
Wrong.
September 21st.
Wrong.
To me, that one is probably my favorite game. But if I had to pick a Sunbelt game, well, I mean, it's kind of an obvious one. So I'll leave that one for you. But I'm pretty excited for the home Thursday night game against Coastal Carolina, October 10th. I think that has a chance to be a really fun atmosphere. I think the early season schedule sets up quite well for the Dukes, where they could have a nice record going into that one. And if you win it, you're really poised for a special second half of the year.
Which game did you think I was going to pick? Because my favorite game is clearly August 31st at Jerry Richardson Stadium on the campus of Charlotte, taking on the Fighting Biff Pogies. Real opportunity to show the nation what they've got.
I don't love opening with two FCS opponents, but it kind of is what it is.
That was so well delivered. Bravo for that one. I don't even have a rebuttal for that. I mean, they've been playing like an FCS team for their entire existence. I probably shouldn't say that.
So what's your what's your real favorite game?
I actually am very excited for the Charlotte game. It's in Charlotte, so it's going to be a fun atmosphere. I think JMU might outdraw the 49er fans, although the 49er fans do come out for big games kind of in droves. So it's going to be a good atmosphere there. There's going to be hype. People are going to buy into the Biff Poggi hype. They're going to buy the snake oil that he's going to be selling this offseason, and they're going to be all in for what this 49er squad is going to be. And they may be really good. They had a top-end transfer incoming class. On paper, they have talent. Now, how will that talent go into being an actual team on the field? It didn't go so well for them in Biff Poggi's first year last year, but here in year two, maybe they figured some things out. Charlotte could be a sneaky good game to start this season off. So non-conference, that's my favorite game. I'm really looking forward to. I can't talk tonight. Whatever. At App State is my favorite Sunbelt game.
Yeah, November 23rd in Boone. Ooh.
The Rock. Well, that should be a really good game. I mean, JMU won at App last season. App won at JMU this season. So now an opportunity for the Dukes to go down to Boone and try and even the score. Another good one is that senior day matchup to finish out the season. I've heard rumors that JMU will be wearing black against some fans' hopes and wishes. So hopefully that doesn't come back and bite them like it has in the past, because we all know their record in the black jerseys is terrible, which is fake news. But that last game against Marshall, I think Marshall's going to have a bounce back year. They had a down year. It seems like their fans are out on Charlie Huff right now. But I think he's a good coach. I think the Thundering Herd are a good team. They just didn't have a quarterback last year. And that final 2 weeks of the season could be for Sunbelt East.
Yeah, I wonder what ODU is going to be, because that final 3 is fun, if nothing else, at ODU, at App, home against Marshall. Feels like they saved a lot of the most exciting East opponents for the final 3 weeks.
Well, and then you start the season with Biff Poggi, the current coach of Charlotte. You got an ex-coach of Charlotte there on November 9th as well. So you can be finishing out the year with 4 really great games.
Who's the ex-Charlotte? I forgot they added Will Healy. I was talking about that.
Will Healy is the Georgia State running back coach now after Sean Elliott left. I'm going to be bummed we don't have Sean Elliott. Georgia State might be a dumpster fire this year.
Might be, but they've done a nice job with building. I think their staff from a recruiting perspective, like in future seasons, is going to be fascinating because they got some guys that know what they're doing.
Yeah, they might be a very good team in coming. I don't think you can ever be a good team at Georgia State because there's no fan support.
I think that makes it hard, right? If you're like, you're like
Come to Georgia State and then you go to Turner Field and you're like, okay, don't look to the visitor sideline. I know they outdrew us, but if you focus on this small, see ya. But yeah, the last 3 weeks, if ODU can kind of build upon this last season where they were pretty darn good, each one of those final 3 games could have huge Sun Belt East ramifications.
Also, not a lot, just a general takeaway, not a lot of travel compared to last year where they were, what Kurt Cinetti kept saying, like, we've been wronged by the, the justice system, basically, where they had to like travel to Utah State and they kind of seemed like they ran out of steam. They don't have any spots this year where they should run out of steam. And the way the schedule falls, they have 2 bye weeks, which I think everyone does, but pretty cool.
Yeah. But also, like you said, last year they started at home against Bucknell and then road UVA, road Utah State, road Troy.
Troy first and then Utah State. Yeah.
Terrible stretch. This year it's on the road, at home, 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 at home, on the road, at home. That is a perfect setup.
And what a nightmare emotionally last year. Like UVA, best team in the West, and then travel way out west. Like that was just an awful combination of things that they somehow were able to kind of weather that storm.
At the point of the season where they were playing their worst football and it wasn't even close.
Like because they spent all fall camp not with McLeod as the starting quarterback and they didn't tackle. That all made a ton of sense in hindsight.
For the you gotta watch the stream to see what Bennett just did on that one. Any letdown spots, kind of like you said, how the schedule shakes up, there aren't many like road home, like letdown type of spots or a trap game.
I wouldn't anticipate them having too many letdowns. I think the 2 that kind of stand out as possible letdowns would be Ball State at home coming off a North Carolina game where if you win it, I could see them getting kind of cocky. And then family weekend crowds are kind of just weird. So it could end up being kind of a dead, but I mean, like, do you need your A game against Ball State? Probably not. And then the one after that at ULM, kind of one of their, I guess, longer road trips to a team that might not be very good before playing Coastal Thursday at home in a game that could have a ton of hype and will be on national TV. So I could see those 2 maybe being kind of letdown spots.
I'm looking at the schedule. I don't see a letdown spot.
Is it a weak schedule?
Maybe 1 second. Maybe at Georgia Southern. Maybe if like I had to pick one and you took that other one with Ball State, you're coming off of potentially like an emotional game against Coastal, mainly because like there's that like pseudo rivalry, even though we've outscored them 150-10 over the last 8 quarters of football.
Yeah.
But either it's an emotional game that's charged, that's going to be kind of head to head type of thing, or it's another like just massive blowout and you're riding the high then at that point of probably blowing out ULM, blowing out Coastal, and you're like, we're going to go to Georgia Southern, and weird things happen in Statesboro. Look at 2022. I think that might be a letdown spot. Maybe.
Got a mini bye though going into it.
I know. Mini bye. But I really don't know. Yes, I think it's a weak schedule. I think it is not in a bad way because last year's was kind of like this gauntlet. But this year it just feels like the biggest game is at UNC against a Tar Heels team that is going to be in presumed a down year.
I mean, I think anything less than 8-4 without like a quarterback injury, and I feel like people are going to be pissed.
All right, let's go record prediction. You ready?
Okay.
So game 1 at Charlotte, win. Game 2, Hall of Fame weekend, Gardner-Webb at home.
Win.
Call me crazy. I think this one might go to the Dukes.
Yeah.
At North Carolina.
They get a bye before this one, man. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win.
Okay, I'm going to say L.
Okay.
Ball State at home, family weekend.
Win.
I agree with you there. At ULM to open up Sunbelt play, the first ever trip for the Dukes to Monroe, Louisiana.
Win.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll agree with you there. Coastal Carolina at home. First time that they're playing Coastal not to finish the season.
It's true. I think it's a win where Coastal's receivers down 30 are like talking a lot of junk, per usual.
Something I hate. That might be one of my most hated things in sports is when you're blowing out another team and they're still talking trash.
like a lot of trash.
Like a lot. All right. At Georgia Southern.
Loss.
Mini bye. Loss. I'm going to say win.
Okay.
So we're at the same record right now, 6-1, heading into homecoming against Southern Miss.
Win.
I agree. I just don't think. I mean, Southern Miss lost Frank Gore Jr. this offseason, and that type of production. He plays quarterback for him. He plays running back for him. That's something that's really hard to recreate. So I think Southern Miss is going to take a step back without Frank Gore Jr. there in the backfield.
Fair enough.
Do you remember when he played quarterback?
Yeah,
when
they have they need a quarterback so bad. It's painful.
Georgia State at home.
That's a win. They got a bye for that one too.
Yeah, Georgia State might be good. What is it? Del McGee is their new head coach.
I think so.
Del McGee might make the Panthers into something very strong in the Sun Belt East in the coming years. I don't think this is that year. Not only did they lose a ton of production to the portal, you also lost a ton of production to graduation. At ODU.
Win.
I'm going to say loss.
I like that. I think that would add a little like much needed something to the rivalry.
Yeah, because right now, air quotes around it, the royal rivalry is more so the Dukes dominating the Monarchs. But ODU was good last year. They weren't great, but they were good. It seems like things are being built in the right direction for Ricky Ronnie. Ricky Ronnie. And I think the Monarchs are going to be. Remember last year, I had Georgia State as my dark horse winner of the Sun Belt East, and that looked great for the first 6 weeks of the season. ODU, I have a sneaky feeling is going to be my dark horse to win the East.
Your darling.
My darling. All right. So I'm sitting here at 8-2. You're at 9-1 at App State.
L.
I agree with you. I think over this stretch, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, it will be.
And I have them, both of these games, losses. Marshall.
Home, I think they beat Marshall at home.
I think they crush them at home. So that's you getting them at 10-2.
Yeah.
I have them at 9-3.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like that's like somewhat conservative.
That was me being very like that final 3 games. In my heart of hearts, with my purple glasses on, I think worst case scenario is 2-1. But being ultra conservative, picking these games right now, I put them at 1-2.
It's crazy, right? Because they lose their head coach, they lose like all of their production, basically. But they return some guys who are really good that maybe didn't have as much like stats, but you can tell are good. They loaded up in the portal. Chesney's a good coach. Their like assistant coaches are legit. The schedule's favorable. I think anything worse than 8-4 would be very, very disappointing. And I do think they have a legit chance to go into November with like college football playoff aspirations.
If they go into November with a win over UNC, yes. I think they will be the front runner to do it.
I think
you can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we don't actually know like what the Sun Belt will be, right? I feel like every year we're like that team will be good, this team will be good. But like if ULM or Southern Miss like happen to be better than we expect and they're like bowl teams in the West, then the strength of schedule is not quite as bad as we think. Like you can really build a resume if some of these teams like slightly exceed expectations. The same with like Charlotte and Ball State. If they can work their way into a bowl game and the wins aren't terrible there, you've got a good resume.
I don't think it's crazy to say that Charlotte makes a bowl this year, but I still think that's an easy win. I think you can win. How many games do you think you can lose and still make it as the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff? I think it's only 1.
That's probably my lean too. I think you would need a lot of chaos if you have
2 losses or more. Maybe a lawsuit.
Maybe a lawsuit. That's a good point.
All right, thank you. So JMU football, they begin their season on August 31st in Charlotte, North Carolina, against the Fighting Biff Pogies, also known as the 49ers. It's going to be a great season. I can't wait. We'll be breaking things down consistently, and keep it locked on our YouTube for more kind of one-off ideas and things that we have throughout this offseason for football.